Hello and welcome back for another historic gameplay video. Today we'll be taking a look at this mono green Oops All Spells deck, which is splashing black for Balustrade Spy. The purpose of the deck is to cast our Spy, which we will use to target ourselves. And since we have no actual land cards in our deck, it will mill our entire library. From there, Creeping Chill will trigger, which will deal 3 damage to our opponent, and we will gain 3 life. And then that life gain will trigger our Silver Smoke Ghoul, which will then return from the graveyard to the battlefield at our end step. And this will trigger our Prized Amalgam, which will then return to the battlefield as well at the beginning of our opponent's end step. And then we have 2 World Spine Worm in the deck, which will shuffle back into our library so that we do not lose the game via decking, and we'll be able to swing for combat damage. In order to help us assemble this combo, we have 4 copies of Eldritch Evolution, which will allow us to sacrifice one of our mana dorks and tutor up our spy. We choose to play the Paradise Druid and the Sylvan Caryatid because both have hexproof, at least while they're untapped, and this will allow us to play them out and avoid any of our opponent's removal spells. These will also allow us to hardcast the Spy as well if we have it in our hand on turn 3. There's also 4 copies of Malevolent Rumble, and this will allow us to dig for one of our combo pieces and also acts as ramp, although it is more susceptible to removal. And then as a secondary win condition, we also have 2 copies of Goblin Charbelcher in the deck, which will allow us to burn our opponent out for damage. The Malevolent Rumble is also able to grab the Charbelcher if we happen to reveal it in one of the top 4 cards. And that's the deck. It doesn't have any interaction for what your opponent's doing. It's just trying to combo off on turn 3 and beat your opponent quickly. So let's go ahead and jump into the games and see how the deck does. Alright, here we have some ramp into Spy. We'll give it a try. We'll start off with our black land, since we only have one of them, in case our opponent has discard. Our opponent is likely to have counter spells here. We'll start off with Paradise Druid, since it can attack if needed. Opponent holds up counter spell magic, so we will just play out a tap land and pass the turn. See if we can't bait some removal spells from our opponent. They use Lockdown, which will put shields down for Spy. There we go. Target ourselves. Then our Creeping Trail will return our ghouls, and our ghouls will return our amalgams. Hoping to dodge a second board wipe from our opponent. And converted, but the 4 amalgams that we return back from the graveyard here will deal exactly 12 damage. And our opponent concedes. Okay, here we have some ramp, but nothing to ramp into. So we mulligan. This is better. We will put one of the spies back. And here we will start with our green land. A sentinel from our opponent. We will bolt ourselves and play out Carroted. Our opponent could be on the Aura's deck or on a Hammer variant. We'll see what they play out here. They like the card on top. And they play out a second Sentinel. We will block. Land off the top was a great draw. We will play Spy, milling ourselves. The 4 creeping trail will deal 12 damage to our opponent. And we will return our creatures to the battlefield. I don't know what our opponent could have here to get out of it. Maybe a 9 lives if they're a prison deck. Is not going to do it. And another blocker. So it looks like we just have to turn all of our creatures sideways and we should get the win. Our opponent lining up blocks. It's not going to matter. Good game. Okay. We can try and use Rumble here to dig for a combo piece, or we can mulligan because Prize Amalgam, essentially this is a 6 card hand anyway, so we will do that. Here we don't have any ramp, but we do have a Rumble to help dig for one of our combo pieces. We will give this a try, and we put Creep and Chill back into the deck. With only a single black land, we will play that first to play around discard. And it looks like a aggro deck from our opponent. We will bolt ourselves, ouch, and play Rumble. Here we find Charbelcher and a Caryatid. We will take the Caryatid in this matchup. The life gain from the Creeping Chills will help keep us alive. Alright, stomp from our opponent. Hit for 1. We will play out our Paradise Druid. Caryatid can block, but we're in no pressure of our life total. Our opponent hits for 1. We'll go grab our Spy. The Worms shuffle back into our deck. We will deal 12 damage to our opponent and gain 12 life. Play a tap land. And then our creatures will start returning to the battlefield. our opponent with 4 mana to play with here. They need to answer our board and the creature's coming back at the end of the turn, and they cannot. Okay, here we have a Charbutcher and an Evolution, but no ramp card, and one of the worms is in hand. We'll mulligan this. Some acceleration, but no payoff. Alright, and we will send back the Evolution as well. So here we just need one more land. Looks like the Wizards deck on the other side of the battlefield. And there is our third land drop that we'll need. Syndicate Sage, and let's see if they can give it haste. They choose not to attack. Fine by me. We'll play our Spy. Target ourselves. Our opponent likely has some sort of removal here. Right, 12 damage to our opponent. We gain 12 life. Our ghouls come back from the graveyard. And that will trigger our prized amalgam. They will come back at the beginning of the next end phase, which will be on our opponent's turn. Another Symmetry Sage. And it was just lightning. Here come our prized amalgam. And we'll start with everyone. Good game. Okay, this hand has no green mana, no acceleration. We have 3 of our creeping chills here, and no payoff. Okay, here we will mulligan this one as well. This one's not going to cut it. We'll have to give this a try. So we will throw back the Ghoul, the Evolution, and the Charbelcher. We will need 1 more land to combo off. We'll bolt ourselves out a Paradise Druid. The reason we're doing this is that way if we top deck a land, we'll be able to combo on the next turn. And Paradise Druid is fairly resistant to removal spells. We do not draw one. We don't want to run out Ghoul here because that will leave our Druid susceptible to targeted removal. Maybe our opponent's on a Madness deck. They are. Don't see many of these in the current meta. But there is our 4th land. So we'll play Spy. Target ourselves. 12 damage to our opponent, 12 life. Let's see what our opponent has. They attack with Inti. They discard a Kitchen Imp. The problem with using Inti as an enabler for these cards that have haste is they don't get to attack the same turn that they come in, which essentially negates their haste effect. And then with the blockers that our opponent has back, this should be a lethal attack. Good game. Okay, this hand has too many of our graveyard cards in it, so we'll take a mulligan. This one will also be a mulligan, and this one we will keep. Definitely putting back Amalgam, and then out of the remaining ones, I think one of our duplicate Rumbles. And we will start off with our black land tapped. Okay, this looks like it is potentially the Auras deck. We will start off with a Rumble. And here we will grab grab Spy. If our opponent does not remove our spawn token, we should be able to hard cast this next turn. Otherwise, we'll need an additional turn for setup. They do have Light Claws, so here they're going to tutor their Sheltered by Ghost and take out our token. And depending what they have to follow up with next turn, First Strike and Vigilance could cause quite a problem. Alright, here we will play out our Druid, as well as a tap land. An Amp Raptor from our opponent, and another Sheltered by Ghost. This one has no target. Let's see what they tutor up. Alright, they gain some life. And we have to play out our Spy. Alright, we'll do 12 damage to our opponent, gain 12 life. And here we will only be returning 7 creatures since one of the amalgams is in our hand. A third Sheltered by Ghosts. They go for our Spy. And one swings for lethal. Good game. Okay, this hand is a turn 3 attempt at Spy. Our opponent is on a Lurrus deck. They've taken 1 mulligan. Could be the Horrors deck. We'll give this a try. Okay. Tap land. An energy deck.
To the hunt.
We will bolt ourselves. Ouch. Play out the Druid. We don't want to see a Goblin Bombardment here from our opponent. This Amp Raptor. And Galvanic Discharge will be a dead card. They could have targeted their Cat Warrior token. Instead, they choose not to. We'll take the 2. They might have another discharge in hand based on this pause. Okay, no play from our opponent. We will bolt ourselves again and play out Spy. Here we have 3 Creeping Chill left on our death, and all 12 of our creatures. They choose to use Discharge on our creature. There is another pause from our opponent. We will hope that they don't have a Surgical in hand. Our worms shuffle back into our deck. And our opponent concedes. Okay, this hand has 2 dead cards in it and only a Rumble for ramp. We will take a mulligan. this one is better. We will keep. Skirk Prospector from our opponent. Play out a tap land and pass it back to them. Our opponent on a Rakdos build of Goblins. They hit for 1. Right here we will bolt ourselves and play out Rumble. Here we're looking for black mana, which we get through Paradise Druid. We'll pass it back to our opponent. A land on top of their library. And they play out a War Chief, which will give all of their goblins haste, and it also reduces their cost by 1 generic mana. No blocks. Unfortunately, we draw another one of our graveyard cards. No attacks from us. Another land on top. Our opponent could Mux us here if they have it. It looks like they do not. And they swing out. We'll take it again. Okay, here we will play out our Spy, which will deal 12 damage to our opponent, and we will gain 12 life. Looks like they have the Flash Goblin that deals damage equal to the number of goblins you have to target creature. Likely to use it on one of our ghouls. We'll play out a tapped land. And no attack. And there it is, Munitions Expert. We'll target our Spy. Ghouls will return. Luckily for us, our opponent had quite a few lands on top of their library. That was a mistake. Now we're going to be able to swing back and win the game. And our opponent concedes. Okay, here we have too many of our graveyard cards in our hand and no payoffs. This hand is excellent. We will put Creeping Chill back into the deck. And we will start off with our tapped black land. Looks like Eldrazi on the other side of the table. They do have some graveyard hate in the form of Coast Command, so we're going to have to hope that they do not have it or they don't hold it up. We will bolt in our land and play out Paradise Druid. The plus from our opponent does indicate that they might have it in hand. But they play out Whatnot's here instead, and this will take our Spy. Here we will be able to use our Evolution to go search up another Spy. And our opponent concedes. Okay, this is a mulligan. We do not have any green lands to cast our ramp. This is better. We will put Creep and Chill back into the deck. Okay, here we will play out our green land tap. Looks like another energy deck. We will play out our Paradise Druid. An Amped Raptor. Into a second Amped Raptor. No attack from our opponent. We will tutor up our Spy. Target ourselves. Deal 12 damage to our opponent. And play out a tap again. Our opponent only needs to put a few more creatures onto the battlefield, and since we have a worm in hand, we only get one combat step. But if they don't have the creatures, then we should be able to get over the finish line here. Johnny.
Where shall we hunt today?
They swing in with Guided Souls. And take it. And they have 4 blockers for our 8 attackers. So we're going to be 1 damage short here. If they line up their blocks correctly. They do not. So we end up getting the win. Our opponent needed to jump with a Johnny as well, and they would have won that. Okay, so as you could see from the gameplay, this deck is very consistent with putting together a turn 3 Spy. We did not see any Goblin Charbelcher wins this game. However, the basic functionality of it is the same. If we had Charbelcher in hand on turn 3, we would cast it out, and then on turn 4, we would activate it overall, I was very satisfied with how the games played out. There's not many flex slots in this deck, so when it comes to making changes, really the Charbelcher is the only spot that you might want to play around with. Substituting out for maybe a Thoughtseize or something to interact with your opponent's hand. We did not come up against any other real fast combo decks or any counter spells, so we had a fairly easy set of games without any interaction from our opponent. But yeah, so that was the deck. I'd like to thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe for more content.